Okay, so in this lesson, what we're going to be doing is something called factoring polynomials. All right, so but to start off with here, I want to do a little bit of review from the previous lessons. All right, so just to review here, we're going to expand and simplify this here. All right, so we want to get rid of the brackets. So we're going to use the distributive property. We're going to multiply the 3x cubed y into the brackets. All right, so hopefully this looks familiar. So multiply 3x cubed y with each one of these three terms inside the brackets. So as a result, what do we get here? So 3 times 2 is 6. And then the rule for exponents is to add them, right? So this is x cubed times x now when there's no exponent written, it's implied that they're to the first power. So 3 plus 1 would be 4. Then y to the first power, y to the first power, so that's y squared. Okay, so that's the first term. Next up, 3 times -3 is -9. And again, we're going to add the exponents. So here we have x cubed times x squared is add the exponents. That's x to the 5th. Then we have y here. We don't have a y in this term, which is fine. Right? So we only have y to the first power. And then the third one here, we're going to multiply this here by 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. And since there's no variables here, we're just going to kind of copy this one. So x cubed y. All right. So this is this expression expanded and simplified. Notice there's no like terms to collect here, so we are pretty much done. All right. So what we're going to be looking at today is actually something called factoring, where rather than expanding, simplifying, factoring is like the opposite operation. So to go from here back to here would be what we're going to call factoring. Okay, so basically factoring, what we want to do is we want to break up the given polynomial. So I'll put that in quotations here, break up the polynomial. All right, so for this lesson, it's kind of like an introductory, the first lesson into factoring. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how to get from this answer back to this original question. Right? So that's what we call by factoring. So and factoring is actually a very important concept as you move on through your math. So it's very important, especially this unit here to master it in order to be successful in your subsequent or following math classes. All right, so for example here, yes, you're gonna be asked to factor, and I'm just gonna write this here. So we'll call this example one. We factor 6x to the 4th y squared minus 9x to the 5th y plus 15x cubed. All right, so whenever you're factoring, the first step is always to look for a greatest common factor. All right, so step 1 is to look for a GCF. Now, when it comes to polynomials, okay, your GCF is going to be basically the greatest common factor of the coefficients with the lowest power of each variable. All right. So what that means is that we're going to take the greatest common factor of the coefficients. All right. So coefficients are the numbers here that are in front of each one of these terms. Okay. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. So I want to find what number goes into all three of these. All right. So they have to go into all three and is the greatest or the biggest number. Okay. So you can see here that the GCF between 6, 9, and 15 is actually 3. Okay, so 3 goes into 6, 3 goes into 9, 3 goes into 15. All right, so there's no number bigger than 3 that goes into all three of these numbers. All right, so the GCF between these numbers is 3. All right. So what that means is that GCF of this actual polynomial is going to be 3. And then next up, we want to take the lowest power of each variable. So lowest power of each variable. All right, so in this case, the x here, you see I have an x to the 4th, x to the 5th, and I have an x cubed. So it's going to be x cubed. It's the lowest power. When it comes to the y's, I have y squared, y to the first power, y to the first power. So, so that's the GCF there. Okay, so 3x cubed, y to the first power. Right, so always take the lowest power of each variable and the GCF of the coefficients. Okay, so I'm just going to put a box around this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually factor this. Right? So all right, so that means is that I take the 6x to the 4th. I'm just going to write this out again. And so what I'm going to put here is I'm going to set this equal to. All right, so what I'm going to do first is write the GCF out in front. And then in the brackets, what I'm going to do is actually divide each one of these terms here by the greatest common factor. All right, so so in this case, I'm just going to write 6x to the 4th y squared divided by 3x squared y minus 1. All right, so what you'll notice is that, again, this is the greatest common factor. I'm going to divide each one of these terms by the GCF. Right? I'll put the GCF out in front. All right, so as a result, I'm going to get, again, write out the GCF in front. Now, inside the brackets, I'm going to basically divide each one of these terms. Now, since it's a GCF, they should divide evenly into each one of these terms here. All right, so for example, here, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then the rule is you're going to subtract the exponent. So x to the 4th divided by x squared is x squared. So 4 minus 2 is 2. And same with the y. So y squared divided by y is just y. Next up, 9. So I've got to keep the sign here. 9 divided by 3 is 3. I have x cubed. And I'm subtracting the exponents. Now the y's, you'll notice, is just cancel off. And the last one here, 15 divided by 3 is 5. Again, x cubed divided by x squared, subtract the exponents, that's just x. And then you'll notice that. Oh, I noticed that I made a mistake. All right, so I actually wrote these down wrong, so I'm going to have to redo this. Please forgive me. All right, so let's try this again. So this. So it's not there. All right, so these were actually supposed to be x cubes here. I just noticed, right? Because I just wrote that one wrong or poorly, right? But it is x cubed in the GCF. All right, so this is going to be x cubed, which means this should be a 3 here, 3 here, and a 3 here. All right, so let's try this again. So 3x cubed y is my GCF. All right, so 6 divided by 3 again is 2. All right, so that's 2. X to the 4th divided by x cubed is just x. Y squared divided by y is minus 9 divided by 3 is 3. Here I got x squared. And the y's cancel. And then lastly here, I got 15 divided by 3, which is 5. The x is cancel. X cubes cancel. The y's cancel as well. All right, so we're left with that. All right. So this is what's left when you divide through by the greatest common factor. And let's just kind of scroll back here. And if I compare it to the original question here that we started off with, then I got 3x cubed y, which is right there. Then 2xy minus 3x squared plus 5. Okay, so you can see that this is actually the same as what we started off here. All right, so this is factoring again is the opposite of expanding, simplify. All right, so let's just try another one here. So for here, we're going to factor this one here, okay, this polynomial. So once you do this a few times, we should be able to figure out what the GCF is fairly quickly. All right, so between 20, 12, and 8, the greatest common factor of the coefficients here would be 4. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lowest power of each x, right? So cubed, x squared, and x. So x is lowest power. Y to the 4th, y to the 7th, y to the 5th. So y to the 4th is the lowest power of y. All right. So therefore, this is going to equal 4x y to the 4th bracket. And rather than writing it all out, I'm basically just going to do this fairly quickly. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then I'm just going to subtract the exponents, right? So x cubed divided by x is x squared. Y to the 4th divided by y to the 4th, well, those cancel, right? So that's the first one. Next up, negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. X squared and the x is equal to x. Y to the 7th divided by y to the 4th is y cubed. And the third one here, 8 divided by 4 is 2. And x divided by x, well, those cancel. Y to the 5th divided by y to the 4th, you got y left over. All right. So that's basically it here. And we're done. All right. Now that being said, what I can also do is I can just check my answer. So we can always check your answers by expanding. All right, so I'm going to take this, and in red here, I'm going to check my answer. So I'm going to multiply the 4xy to the 4th into the brackets, and we'll see what we get here. 20. X times x squared is x cubed. Y to the 4th, there's no y there, so that's just y to the 4th. Minus 12. All right, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. We have x squared and y to the 7th. And the third term here, 2 times 4 is 8. X, there's no x there, so that's just x here. Y to the 4th times y is y to the 5th. And I just want to compare this with the answers or the original question there, and you can see that it is the same. All right, so again, yeah, so expanding and simplifying is, again, the opposite operation of factoring. You can always check your answers when you're asked to factor. Once you get your answer, expand it back out, collect the like terms, and then you should get the original. All right, guys, so that is the first lesson there on factoring.